What's going on, everybody? What's up? Welcome. If you're just logging in for the first time, you are in the right place. If you're here to learn about private money lending, I know it looks kind of crazy right now. Like, what's this guy doing? He got a hockey jersey on, he got a scary clown in the background. It is Halloween. It is Halloween, but if you are here for the Quick Start webinar, you are in the right place. Every single week, we practice private money lending best practices, some of the fundamentals. Every single week we practice elevator pitches. We just stay sharp, right? That's what this time is all about. So if you're on the call right now and you are looking to learn how to use people to fund your real estate deals, or if you're on this call right now and you're looking for ways to make a nice interest rate on your money, have your money secured by real estate that when done properly is worth more than the amount you've got involved in, or put to work, yeah, you're in the right place. You're in the right place. What's up, everyone? Yeah, go ahead and make sure the chat box is working. Go ahead and make sure the chat box is working for you, and then make sure you hit everyone. So there's a little blue box down there where you type hello and everything. Just make sure it says everyone, so that when, we try to make these webinars as interactive as possible. So there'll be times where I'll ask you a question, you can type your answers in the chat box. There'll be lots of times where, you might have questions for myself or one of our PMC team members. Perfect. Since today is Halloween, and my boy Hugs here doesn't get out of the attic too often, and we've got his, he's a big investor. Hugs is. We've got his favorite author of Real Estate Without Renters. Kevin Shortell is in the building, and Kevin is a really good friend of mine. And while I had the opportunity to have him here, I wanted to bring him on to talk about note investing. So Kevin, welcome to our Zoom. Thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I always enjoy it. I always enjoy seeing you, talking with you guys. And yeah, it was funny. I looked in, I'm like, cool. He's got my book back there. I was like, all right, awesome. But man, we've been busy, and I've probably had just in the last week, maybe week and a half, about 10 closings. And the cool thing is, I would say 9 out of the 10 are new people. They've been with me for less than a month. And about 4, maybe 5, so I'll say 4 of them are PMC members. And in fact, I don't know how much time I have, but I got the prompt from Andrew Chestnut over from the corporate office, in Buffalo a week ago, and he's like, Kevin, we're a couple weeks out. I need your PowerPoints, for the money tank. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll start to work on those now, because I always like to keep everything new and use new case studies and everything. I've been working on some fresh stuff, man, and I can do and I can keep them brief. I'll give like the Reader's Digest version of them, but I think for your Private Money Club members, they'll be able to see a complete picture of sometimes how these deals go. If you want me to hit
those are at the Money Tank, you mean? Like we'll be able to see like the full case studies, like.
Yeah, the Money Tank. I mean, I'll do the whole thing, but I know we're under a little bit of a time restriction because you got things to cover, but I can give you like a quick lowdown version of some of those case studies if you'd like to see.
Yeah. Pull it up, and while I do that, I'm just going to provide some context for people, because we have some folks who, hey, if you're brand new to Private Money Club and maybe you're brand new to this webinar, just type it in the chat box. Say I'm brand new, right? Just say brand new, I'm new, because we'll have 150 people on here at any given point in time, and it's cool to see. All right, Mark new, Sam new, Crystal new. All right, awesome. I love it. Lorraine.
Oh, wow, a lot of new people.
Yeah, so this is a good like mixture of people who are in Private Money Club and people who are discovering it for the first time. And if you are in Private Money Club, type Premier in the chat box. If you're a Premier member of Private Money Club, just let us know. I mean, I know who you are. I see your names, but let everyone else know, so we can kind of get a feel for things here, which is awesome. And if you are a Premier member, go ahead and say hi and welcome the people who are new. Say hi and welcome those who are new. So we do this webinar every single Thursday, courtesy of the Private Money Club. And one of the things that Kevin was just talking about, next week, he mentioned an event called Money Tank. So Money Tank, I'm going to give you the 30-second edition of this. I'm going to get you all caught up if you're brand new. Money Tank is like the flagship event for Private Money Club. So once or twice a year, Private Money Club puts on a big event. This time it's in Charlotte. It's at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's 2 days of networking, learning, and growing as real estate investors and entrepreneurs. And if you're someone on here who's just looking to take their business, and ratchet it up, I'm trying to use as many like NASCAR terms as I can since we're going to the racetrack. So like this event is actually in the media center where they interview the race car drivers and the pit crew chiefs and things like that before and after the races. So it's a really cool venue. It's happening November 8th and 9th, and I'll have Jose put the link in the chat box so you guys can check it out. You can be there in person. You can also be there virtually if you can't make it in person. Either way, attend because it's going to be awesome. And Kevin is actually one of the presenters at Money Tank. And what Kevin does is he buys and sells notes. So Kevin, just for someone who doesn't know what a note means or like what is that, can you elaborate a little bit about like what a note is? Because we're definitely
Sure.
going to talk about it. Like I talk about promissory note is something that you're going to want to have. A mortgage is something that you're going to want to have when you're borrowing and lending. What is a note?
Sure. With Private Money Club, everybody on here, whether you're new or a premier member, you understand what a loan is, right? I mean, that's what you're essentially creating. You're going to be a private money lender. So what are you doing? You are giving money to somebody in exchange for what? An interest rate and a term on a payback, but they have to put that in writing, right? So when you lend money to somebody, they sign a note, a promissory note to pay you back. But we're also smart enough at Private Money Club to know we're not going to do unsecured loans. We want some security with that loan, and that's going to be the property. So our fallback is the property's the collateral. So if you do a loan to somebody, you're putting money out. What are you getting back? You're getting back a note and a security agreement that represents a monthly cash flow, a monthly income to you. So what I do is a little bit different than that, although the premises are the same. I buy notes that are already existing. It might have been created by a bank. It might have been created by an investor. It might be an REO company. It might be a private equity firm. It might be just what I call mom and pop notes, where somebody inherited a property and they've been receiving payments for a while, and now they'd rather cash out and have a lump sum. So I come in and buy those notes. So that's all a note investor is. So it's a very direct parallel to lending. It's just we buy loans that somebody else has already created. We
Cool.
buy
All
them at
right,
a
cool.
discount, of course. Yeah.
And you have some case study. Yeah, at a deal, right? Like we're
Yeah.
investors. We don't pay. Yeah, of course. Like let's see some of these case studies. Do you have something
Yeah,
that
let
you
me kick off with this one. I think you'll like this because it ties directly in how you set this up.
and
Okay,
you're
so
gonna teach this stuff at Money Tank, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
for
and I'll
okay.
spend more time and lay it out. But here, so I'm going to give you guys a little shorter version here, but you'll get a taste of it, and we can get it more depth, obviously, in Carolina at the Money Tank here. So I get this email, and I work with a lot of PMC members. They see the parallel between what I just said, having a note, creating a note, and buying notes. And so I work with a lot of them. They become clients of mine as well. So I'm searching, I just get my regular emails, and I get this email from Jessica, and you can see this is very, very current. This was October 4th of this year. And she saw me at one of Chris Naugle's live streams a ways back, finally decided to take action, and she became a client of mine because I do personal mentorship. And that means really personal mentorship on Zoom and that sort of thing. So she gets signed up with me. And the first thing I do is find out, well, what are you looking to do, Jessica? What are you looking to accomplish? What are your goals? How much capital are we starting with? What rate of return are we looking for? And that's all important things, by the way, for all of you, whether you're lending money or if you're in the note business or both, having objective, what you want to do, objectives, goals, things like that. It's very, very important because it makes you focus on a certain area. So October 4th, she gets started with me and we go right to work. And we start looking around. On our second meeting, I said, well, let's start looking at deals that are within the price range you're looking for right now, within the returns you're looking for, and everything else. And we came upon this one. And this was a note that was created by Lori Halter. Okay, so Lori happens to be in a Private Money Club. In fact, so I contacted Lori, who had this note for sale, and I got right back from her. Hey, Kevin, it's Lori. I'm a founding member of PMC. Met you a few times at Chris's events and those sorts of things. And she's got some more deals coming down the pike. So it's really cool where she's a PMC member who created a note. I'm working with a client now who is looking to buy a note that's already been created, just like I was saying before. So what Lori did, Private Money Club, she found a piece of property. I believe, because I've looked at a bunch of deals, but I believe that she got this through a tax deed sale. Maybe it was a foreclosure, but she got a really good deal on this vacant piece of land that's in a residential area. Okay. So once she got the land, and she went ahead and sold it with seller financing, right? So she created her own note in this case. So she didn't lend money per se. In this case, Lori did. She simply created an IOU. So whatever she bought this property for, she ended up selling it for about $27,000 or so. So I don't know. I'm going to make up a number. Maybe she paid 10 for it. And she took a nice down payment and created this other note. Okay. So she now has a note and a mortgage. And then she listed that for sale. And you can see some of the details here. Now, she just created this note in October 2024, right? October 2nd. Jessica started with me October 4th. So literally 2 days later, we find this. And what's interesting is this note has zero seasoning, as we call it. Seasoning is industry lingo for payment history, right? So the borrower in this case put a down payment, a nice down payment, 20,000 or 20%, right? But they hadn't made any monthly payments yet. So normally when we buy a note, we like to see a payment history. That's one of the advantages of buying a note that somebody else has already created. In this case, though, no payments. So we had to weigh out, but they've got something to lose, right? They put 20% down. So even though they haven't made payments, I don't think these people are going to default because, well, again, they put a pretty good down payment there. Lori's in a great position. Lori found the property, bought the property inexpensively, sold it at a market price, right? Actually a little under, as she says there, but she sold it at a high enough price where she's making good money. And then she's going to sell that paper before she even gets the first payment. And that keeps that income velocity going for Lori. My client is looking at buying this note, and we're weighing out the risk and the rewards within this note. So what happened was, again, Lori creates the note, we find it, and we're going to cash her out of that note. So one of the things we do in our due diligence is look at all the paperwork, right? What are we buying? So when you said, what does a note look like? There's a partial picture of one on the right side of your screen there, where it outlines the terms and the paybacks. And you can see on the bottom, it says principal and interest on this note shall be due and payable in monthly installments, $529.98, beginning on November 2nd, 2024. So right as we are speaking, this is coming up. That's what a note looks like. It's a very simple instrument. It's an IOU. That's really all a note is. Now, this note is backed by the security agreement that's on the left-hand side of your screen. And I truncated it a little bit to save some names and things like that. But so it was created on a warranty deed with a vendor's lien. Now, again, industry logo. That means they gave the title to the person under a warranty deed with seller financing. That's all that means. So just industry logo, if you will. And you can see the amount of the note is on there. It references the note, but the warranty deed with vendor's liens, the security agreement, that's the one that says, hey, borrowers, if you don't pay back this note according to the terms, okay, on the right-hand side, then we have the right to foreclose on the property. Okay, that's what notes and mortgages are all about. So again, whether you're creating these, whether you're buying these that exist, it boils down to those are all of the terms in here. So financially, if you broke this down,
Kevin, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
If and I'm a big believer in having the mortgage and having the promissory note and those are two different things, right? But they coexist together and they reference one another oftentimes. With the promissory, if someone has a promissory note and it mentions the real estate, but a person doesn't have the mortgage, could that create issues on the back end for someone?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because the notes, which is rather interesting. So the document on the right, the note, that is considered personal property, if that makes sense. So personal property is not a part of public records. So it's kind of like if I lent you money, Noah, And I just said, we just had a promissory note, and you wrote an IOU to me, and you're promising to pay me back 22 grand at 12.9% interest monthly, and you don't pay me back. If I don't have a security agreement to that, I still have recourse to the law, but I have to sue you to try to get that money. And that
Mm.
cost me time and effort and everything else, because the only collateral I have was your contractual obligation to pay. And if we end up in court, I end up with a judgment and I still don't have money in my pocket. So the mortgage is the security agreement that again says, if this person doesn't pay me back, we have the right to foreclose on the property. Okay, that's what adds the value in that. And that is so important. Now that's considered real property. So that gets recorded in the county where the property is located.
Got it.
So anytime you have the security agreement, the mortgage, sometimes it's called a deed of trust, sometimes a land contract, you want to have that recorded in the county that it's located in, because that's what sets the precedence for you have a legally established claim on that particular property.
Love it.
So if somebody has a mortgage and a note and they've never recorded it, there's an old adage in real estate. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. And if you just live by that principle and go, it's got to be in writing. And in this case, it has to be, properly recorded to maintain your legal priority status.
I love it. And that's what you guys, this is what great coaching is all about, and lots of, you see people trying to figure this out and think that they just have one and not the other. Like, I guess this is how it's done. It's okay. Like, we don't just assume that. And it's advice like this and insight like this that's going to not just give a person competitive advantage, but also keep a person safe,
Oh, that could, if you didn't, yeah, if you don't know that and you hadn't done that properly, that could rock your world. I mean, you could be out tens of thousands of dollars by not knowing. Yeah, sometimes you're right. In the details, it's those little things where you go, oh yeah, I just did seller financing, and did you have a note and a mortgage created? Is it recorded?
Is it
No.
recorded?
Oh
Yeah.
man, you.
All right. So how'd this one end up?
Oh, this one ended up great, man. So here's the financials. They purchased the property for 27.5, right? So she got $5,500 down, which is probably what she paid or close to it, right? So she's already making money there. Let's see. They created the note at $22,000, 12.9% interest for 72 months. Okay. And then the monthly payments there are $440.47 a month. It's being escrowed for taxes and insurance at $44.51. And then they also added in, which was smart of her. So again, private money club person, Lori, she was smart enough to know when she's creating a note, it does add value to have the servicing cost in there. Okay, so that won't affect a sales price if you sell this note later on. So boom, she buys the property, she turns around within a month, she sells it, she gets $5,500 back and two pieces of paper, right? That says she's entitled to 22 grand over monthly installments. Now, she takes that paper and turns around and puts that up for market to sell. We ended up getting that note. My client, Jessica, got the note for $18,400. Okay. So the property, think about this, just this vacant land, unimproved, is worth $32,000. My client, Jessica, is buying this for $18,400. So the question becomes, is that a safe investment, everybody? And hopefully you all are at home
What do you
going,
think? Type it in the
shaking your
chat
head.
box. Is that a good loan to value there, guys? What do you think? Let's do the math. 18,400 divided by 32. That's 57.5 loan to value, or
Thank
per,
you. Yeah, investment to value.
what
We call it.
investment to
That's what
value, what
she's
she got it
investing,
for.
right?
Yep.
So think about that, everybody. If you're new and you're still trying to figure this out, you're like, well, what does that exactly mean? How would you like to buy a property that's worth $32,000 for $18,400? Think of it that way. Because if they don't pay on the loan, you end up with the property or cashed out at a foreclosure sale. That's why that mortgage agreement is so important. So I always think as an investor, again, whether you're lending money or buying money in this case, safety first. Look at the safety mechanisms, look at your overall risk. So we can check that box and go safe investment. Now, what about return? Okay, return on investment on this one is pretty healthy, 20%. How do we come up with that? Now, what you're seeing on your screen, for those not familiar, is just a screenshot that I took of a financial calculator. So the N stands for number of payments. We're buying 72 payments, as you saw. We're paying $18,389. I rounded it to 18.4, okay, on your screen, but that's the actual price that we were paying for this note, 18,389 and 6 cents. So that's the present value for this investor, Jessica, that she's paying for the note. So PV is present value. And the monthly payments we're getting back is $440.47. So we saw that in the numbers there. So if you invest $18,389.06, whoops, and you are receiving in return $440.47 a month for 72 months, we solve for interest per year, which is your yield. That's 20% per year.
Boom. Yeah, it's so simple when you look at it like that. You're like, hey, I'm investing 18,400 to get 72 payments of $440.
Yeah.
And 47 cents. Right? Hey, if you would do a deal like that, can you get excited about doing deals like that? Type "oh yeah" in the chat box if you're digging this stuff. Here's what's cool about this. How many of you have like an infinite banking policy, and you have, money that you're putting in there, the initial premium that you put in there, and you got some cash in there, and it's around these types of price points?
Yep.
How many people, I mean, in private, it can be frustrating sometimes if you are looking at in Private Money Club and you're like, okay, here's a lending opportunity for 150,000, but I'm only starting out with 30,000 or 40,000 in my own banking system.
Yeah, or your IRA
or your retirement account. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, think of this too. Jessica started with me when? October 4th.
Right.
I mean, boom. So I just love stuff like that. Because, when I broke this down for her and we looked at the paperwork, and again, congratulations, on Lori setting up a note properly. She did it the right way. So it wasn't hard for us to go through. And I was talking with Jessica, I'm like, how do you beat this? Where else, anywhere investment wise, can you invest that amount of money, have that much security with that kind of return? I can't think of one. Maybe you get lucky in the options, but you got a lot of risk on the option side, so you can't put that in there. Stock options is what I'm talking about. Stock market, sure, but you got the risk side. So I mean, it's a great way to go. But I hope you also see that it completes the picture here. There's lending and there's selling loans. There's liquidity, all sorts of things that we can do. You want to see a couple more quick ones?
Yeah, real quick questions while we.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I got you for like 6 more minutes. How is the insurance handled on the property? Deborah asked. How is the insurance on the property handled?
On vacant land, for the most part, you don't need insurance on there, but there is property taxes. So yes, this was being escrowed, as we saw here, for $44.51 per month. So I believe that was just really for the property taxes. So insurance in a case like this, because it's vacant land, you really don't need anything there. If it is on a single family home, okay, on a single family home, absolutely. What we would do on a single family home is, if they have insurance on it already, we would simply get a copy of that policy before we bought the note. As soon as we own that note, we contact the insurance company, show them the paperwork that we have, that we now own, a collateralized interest in that property because of the mortgage, and they put us on there as a mortgagee beneficiary. And that's how that's handled. Now, in a case where they don't have insurance, we have the right, because again, we have that collateralized interest in that property, we have the right to force insurance on that property. Now, we might have to pay for that forced place insurance, as it's called. We might have to pay for that up front, but we can collect that later from that borrower, because the mortgage says they have to have it. But if they don't, you don't want your collateral to be uninsured, so you force insurance upon it, which is maybe $800 a month for a property up to $100,000, so it's not expensive. You front that, and then you collect that in the form of monthly payments from the borrower.
$800 annually or monthly?
No, per year. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Jeez, yeah.
I was like, I mean, that's pretty expensive for
only it's 800 per year, everybody. Yeah.
Okay. And then question here, a couple of people are asking like where you find your notes. Like, specifically where you found this note, and then, where do you come across these types of opportunities, Kevin?
Sure. So inventory wise, let's see, I'll try to make a short answer of this. There's an online note trading platform, and that's where this screenshot is from. And that's from my friends over at PaperStack. And the guys who created this whole platform, by the way, I trained them in the note business about 12 years ago also. So I used to go to their office pre-COVID every week, every Tuesday, helping them troubleshoot and get this platform up and running here. So there's an online trading platform, which is this. There is then also inventory that you get from equity funds. Now, the good thing is I know, I've been doing this for 30 years, everybody. So you build relationships, right? It's still a people business. And by the way, at Money Tank, have an agenda when you're there to meet as many people as you can. If there's specific people, write it down and commit yourself every day. I've told people this, make a list. I am going to meet 10 people and have a good conversation with today. And if you go in there with that, you're going to meet a lot of good people, and a couple people like that can completely change everything. So I've been doing that for years, and I have, there's companies like this company, Revolve Capital. I know the COO, I worked with him for about 15 years. They just put out this release of assets. So it's a different format. This is this is a March one. They just put one out this month, but we can look at the same thing. This is March. They just put one out this month. But they've got notes that are performing, banks that notes that are non-performing. So it's a little different format here, but you can see they give you a ton of information about the notes. And these are notes that they bought directly from Fannie Mae. So these are notes that you can't buy yourself because you have to buy in bulk. So you can see, for example, like I said, I've been working on my PowerPoint, so I have these all right here, which is perfect.
Hot off the press.
October 24th. I mean, so we're talking right now. Fannie Mae. Everybody, I hope, knows who Fannie Mae is. Federal National Mortgage Association. They buy bank loans. Okay, that's what they do. They're government owned, semi-government owned. But you can see they announced in October that RGC, Strategic Acquisitions, that's Revolve Capital. They bought a pool of, let's see, for 7.2 million. Transaction close includes, it doesn't give us a total number. It includes deeply delinquent loans on here. But that company, I know, I've known them in the business. And again, this is the tape that came out in November. So there's equity firms like that will buy bank loans that go non-performing. Why would you buy a bank loan that is non-performing? Well, think about it this way. You all are familiar with buying rehab properties, I would assume. What do you do? Why would you buy a property that needs work? Why would you buy a broken down house? Why would you do that?
Yeah, I'm gonna get it at a deep discount.
Exactly. That's what you're looking for, because you can buy it cheap. And then what's your goal? Fix it up. When you fix it up, you've enhanced the value to it. And then you can what? Rent it, sell it, whatever you want to do. We do the same thing with non-performing loans. So we take a loan that's not performing, we buy it at a deep discount, and then we either get it performing again and thereby enhance the value, and we can keep that cash flow, or sell that note as a performing note now. Or if we have to foreclose on the property and either get cashed out at the sale or end up getting the property back. Now, let me tell you this before you all think, oh man, we got to foreclose on people. I've been doing this for over 30 years, never had to foreclose on anybody. Not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying I haven't had to do it. I have one client that foreclosed this year on a property, and it was a vacant property. The people had already abandoned the property, and that was it. Because now I've had to threaten it. I've had to threaten foreclosure to wake people up sometimes and say, hey, look, you want to stay, you got to pay. And they realize that we're not the enemy, that we can give them the ability to stay in their home. Because, a lot of people stop paying on these things because they go, well, gee, I owe so much money to catch up on the loan, I can't pay it.
Yeah.
Okay. We come in and say, what if you don't have to pay that? What if I just move that to the back of the loan and you start making your payments again? So there's a lot of different techniques that we can use to help people stay in their home. So I want to make sure you guys understand that. So that's another place to get inventory. We get inventory also from building a relationship with someone like Lori. So we may have met through the platform, but then I say, hey, Lori, if you're creating these other notes, as she said in here, look, I have another one coming up that I'm looking for a note buyer at the closing table. In other words, she wants to create the note and immediately sell it pretty much like she did here. Well, great. We establish a relationship with her. And think about this. That's what I mean. I don't know how many people are coming to Private Money Tank, but if you meet 5 people that are creating notes on a regular basis, that could completely change
Yeah, I mean, how many do you need, right?
exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know how many Lori's doing, but if she's doing 12 a year and she brings all 12 to me,
And Lori will be at Money Tank.
I know. Yeah.
She will be at Money Tank. So there's
Yeah.
one, guys. There's one.
Which is cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Kevin, thank you so much for just introducing everyone to number one, you. Like, if you don't know Kevin Shortell yet, now you do. Now you know, right? And Kevin, I'll ask you to. There's some questions in the chat. I'll have you maybe scroll through it if you have time, and maybe you can answer the questions in the chat. And then a way to get a hold of you, calendar. Okay, great. If you want to schedule a 30-minute phone call with Kevin, guys, absolutely do that.
Yeah, that's the easiest way. Hop on the phone if this is something of interest to you. Let's just get on the phone and chat. It's
You can maybe hugs will be clicking the link here, Kevin. So be careful. All right. But man,
so
thank you
I'll
so
go
much.
through. You said there's some questions, and is it Q&A or no? It looks like
No, it's just in the chat box. If you cruise through the chat box, you might see a couple questions there for you to answer.
Cool.
But I really appreciate
my
it.
man.
Yeah, and I'm gonna share.
Look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I can't wait to catch up, man. I can't wait to catch up. I can't wait to see you a week from today.
Your real estate business lives and dies by the network and the connections that you make. I mean, after all, your network, well, it's your net worth. That's what you always heard, right? If that's an area where you desire improvement, well, Private Money Club, it's for you. PMC saves you precious time and money by bringing the real estate world, well, right to you, right in the palm of your hand. So get in on the action, like so many others have, by going to privatemoneyclub.com and sign up.
And for those of you that are just like, what's Money Tank? What's going on? I got something I can show you that no one else has really seen. You want to see it? So I have the agenda because I was going through this for the upcoming Money Tank event with Stephen Nagy and Shauna. So you can kind of get an idea here. Like day one is absolutely packed. So we've got Stephen Nagy teaching us how to leverage those infinite banking policies and becoming your own bank and how to do that and leverage it for real estate activities. My wife and I are both speaking at the same time. Christy and I are taking the stage together here right around 11 o'clock on day one. And really, like, what we do is very similar to what Kevin does. My wife and I are primarily, I don't know, I hate to give like a number because it's not the exact, but it's like 99% of our business when we're buying and selling real estate, we're using private money lenders to acquire our properties, right? Fix and flips, wholesale deals, rental properties, any properties we're doing the BRRRR method with. We're using private money lenders. So much like Kevin just shared with you deals that he has going on right now and things that he's helped people with this month, that's what we're doing. So for 90 minutes, we're just diving into my wife and I's real estate investing business and sharing exactly how we're using private money to help elevate our business and to buy as much as we can that makes sense for us, right? Kevin's taking the stage. We've got structure and asset protection with Brent Carlson, real estate notes with Kevin Shortell. And what's really cool about Private Money Club too, and we'll kind of get into that for those of you that are new and you're like, I don't really understand what Private Money Club is yet. It's a platform to meet people and to showcase your opportunities. And one of the things that we're doing at the event is actually doing like a Shark Tank style, presenting deals, opportunities, and things like that. So I'll give you some background on how I do it, and attendees can hop in there and share their opportunities. And by the way, this is in person and virtual. In person and virtual. There is a virtual ticket there. We've got Mike Glaspie in the house. One of my good friends, Michael Glaspie. He's also a best-selling author. Just an amazing individual, investor, commercial broker. He's going to be taking the stage, native to North Carolina, velocity banking and HELOC. So all kinds of cool stuff that we're going to be learning over the course of those 2 days. This would be my third event that I've attended through Private Money Club. And yes, you're going to learn a lot. Yes, you're going to, get introduced to different types of things and investment strategies, but the relationships. Private money lending is a relationship-based business, right? And real estate's relationship-based business, right? And so the thing that I've taken away from the other past events that I've gone to is the relationships. It is meeting the people that you're on webinars with, and you see their names and walking around and be like, oh my gosh, you're so and so, you're Herbert Washington. Oh my God, face to face, like, holy cow, I've seen your name on all the webinars. Yeah, and making those real connections. There are virtual tickets now available for $197. I'll ask Jose to put the link in the chat box, and you can click on the link and be sure to reserve your ticket. It's at the Charlotte Motor Speedway on November 8th and 9th. If you have any questions about where to stay, what hotel, all of that is listed on this website here. If you go to privatemoneyclub.com/moneytank, it'll take you right to it, and you can do all the research you need to make your accommodations and things like that. But it's going to be a really epic event. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing Kevin and Steven and Chris and everybody else there. So good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's get into it. We've got some, hey, look, you're not getting off the hook easy on this webinar. We're still going to practice, right? Just because there's a guest speaker doesn't mean we're not going to practice, right? This is what this is all about. Every single Thursday at 1 o'clock, we hop on here and we work on building these things right here. We work on building our credibility. We work on our confidence. We work on our education so that we know what we're talking about when we're talking to lenders and borrowers, right? So every single Thursday we practice these things. This is no different. This is no different. Credibility, our ability to follow through, right? If you're looking to borrow funds and you've never worked with someone before, how does that person know that they can trust you? How does that person know that you're going to be able to follow through, that you're going to be able to buy that house, renovate it, fix it up, and turn around and sell it? Credibility as a lender, it's super important. Just because a person has funds to lend doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to get picked. In Private Money Club, there's lots of folks with money that they want to put it to work. What's gonna make an experienced borrower choose you as opposed to working with someone that maybe they've done business with in the past, right? So there's ways where we can help stand out, not just as borrowers, but as lenders, right? And this is the perfect community to do that. I'll share this slide at the end of the webinar here. We go till 2 o'clock, top of the hour. I'll share this at the end, but I like sharing it here halfway through because I know many of you might have to log off or do. And it's important that we gain momentum. We keep momentum going from these calls. Like, we don't, the goal here isn't just to hop on, listen for 60 minutes and hop off. The goal here is to build momentum and actually put this information to use. So I have some action steps here for you. And in the chat box, I'm going to ask you a question. If you're brand new to Private Money Club, I'm a big believer that every single person should have a Private Money Club profile. All right. So there's a free option that you can join for free. You're kind of limited on like the messaging capabilities and making the connections, but you can get in there and see and start to get a feel and see what it's all about. And you can have a tour from someone like Jose, take you through a tour of the Private Money Club to show you how to utilize it and use it. Jose, type the link there. I see you've got it in the chat box, but type it one more time so it's fresh. Every single person on this call should have a Private Money Club profile of some sort. That's like a no-brainer. If you are in real estate or you have funding that you want to put to work, you want to learn more about how to leverage this community to do that, you should be clicking the link, schedule a call with Jose, and at a minimum create a free profile on Private Money Club. If you've already done that and you are a premier member, everyone in here, homework assignment, should be taking the certification courses. If you haven't taken it, it's included with your membership. They're great classes for borrowers and lenders. So if you haven't done those yet, do it. That's your assignment. Drew says done. Love it. Our next accelerator course is coming up November 4th. So Monday we start. So for anyone that's looking to expedite their growth, collapse the time frames, it's called the accelerator for a reason. We hit the ground running. We for twice a week for 4 weeks. We hop on Zoom calls in a small group, intimate setting with myself. We limit the number of people to 20, and that's it. And I teach you exactly what I do in my real estate investing business, how I leverage the Private Money Club for building relationships with lenders. I also teach you how to be a better lender. I teach you the red flags and different things to avoid to help keep you safe, help keep your money safe, and how to avoid those hurdles and pitfalls that people experience if they don't know what they're doing. If you haven't gone to the Money Tank event yet, Money Tank is coming up November 8th and 9th. There's a virtual option. So everyone on this call should be attending virtually. It's a couple $100 and you get the recordings. You can go back and watch as many times as need be. My wife, Christy, here, where's she at? Hugs is blocking her. She's right there. She teaches people how to buy, sell, and invest in mobile homes and mobile home parks. She has a program brought to you by the Private Money Club called the Mobile Home Take Action Challenge. If you've ever thought that there was money to be made in mobile and manufactured homes, guess what? You are right. You are absolutely right. Mobile Home Take Action Challenge is open for enrollment. If you haven't taken that class yet, go and do it. And then we also have a bus tour with Mike and Mike down in Atlanta, Georgia, December 7th and 8th. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, schedule a call with Jose and we can absolutely make this happen. Question from Debbie, is the Monday, November 4 class closed yet? If not, can I retake it or should I rewatch the videos from my class? I would talk to Jose about that. I don't know how many people, I don't have the final roster yet, Debbie. But if there is room, we should do our absolute best to get you in there. All right. I like, and if you want to know, hey, Noah, what's the accelerator? What does this look like? We work on three things: credibility, clarity, and confidence. And if you have taken the accelerator class, I would recommend going back and watching the replays from our sessions together because, you got to stay sharp. Sometimes you got to re-up on your education. You got to re-up on your motivation in business and in life, right? And, one of the things I was talking to the team about is, I love the fact that Money Tank is going to be happening at the racetrack. There are so many similarities to what it takes to win in business and what it takes to win in real estate or on the track in racing, right? You think about this, like I like to look at these Money Tank events and these live events that the Private Money Club does. It's kind of like a pit stop, right? When the race car drivers come in for a pit stop, they get their tires changed, they get filled up on gas, they make adjustments, they make tweaks. These live events are the same thing, right? Same thing's happening. We're filling ourselves up with gas. We're getting new tires, right? We got the teams, the coaches, the speakers in our ear, telling us where to go on the track and what to do, right? So it's good to re-up on this stuff as much as possible. And so if you can make a live event, if you can make the virtual event, man, I would go for it. If anything, you can go back and watch the recordings from the virtual down the line, if you can't tune in on the Friday and Saturday that's happening. But yeah, absolutely be there. Absolutely be there. All right, any questions on that? Just let us know in the chat box. If you have a question about real estate specifically, I'm going to ask that you type your questions. I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to ask you to type your real estate questions in the Q&A section and I'll answer them at the end. If it's a question about enrolling in a class or getting access to a training or something like that, or joining the Private Money Club as a premier member, or simply needing help creating your free profile, then Jose can help you in the chat box. All right. Here's a question: how to keep notes safe? How to keep notes safe? I guess how to understand how to buy a good note from a bad note. Well, a lot of that is gonna be similar to how we analyze a private money lending deal, right? So if you're thinking about being a private money lender and you're thinking about funding and creating a loan for someone to go out and buy real estate and do, it's an underwriting process, right? So there's a lot that goes into that, right? I'd recommend the accelerator course definitely for that, but you got to look at what's at the end of the day. We're looking at two things. We're looking at the property. Is the amount that I have in the loan amount, is it lower? Is it much lower than the value of the property, right? Is there equity in this deal? That'd be the biggest thing that I'd be looking for. And then number two is the operator. Who is the person, right? Who is the person that is managing this project, right? Do we believe that they have what it takes? Do we believe that their team has what it takes to get the job done, right? And not just do this one time, but let's do this over and over and over again, right? So I would want to look at the operator, I would want to look at the property, right? And feel good about both of those things, right? That's my big picture answer for that. All right, so here we go. We got to practice our elevator pitch. Time's running out. We practice this every single week. This is the 37th time that we've practiced this together on the Quickstart webinar. So here we go. Private money loan. What is it? So if you're just logging on for the first time, I like to teach the elevator pitch like it's an actual elevator, and not from the standpoint of timelines. Okay, not from the, lots of times people hear elevator pitch and they think they got to get everything out in 30 seconds. Right? What's your 30-second spiel about what you do and how you help people? How I look at the elevator, I look at this as a long-term business relationship that I'm trying to groom and develop the right way, right from the start. So I'm never pushy, I'm never over the top. I always try to figure out how, if in fact I can help someone with their goals, and how private money lending might fit into that. Right. And that takes good question asking, but it also takes time sometimes. Sometimes I'll meet people and we'll be in the elevator and it might take 30 seconds. It might take 3 minutes for them to be intrigued and want to learn more. But, keep in mind, like, some of my best private money lenders are people that I've been talking to over the years about my real estate investing business. And it's taken a little while for them to push the button, to go to the next floor. So I like to build out the elevator like it's an actual elevator with floors. So this slide that you're looking at right here is the first floor. And on the first floor, you're walking in, right? And we got to go into the elevator with the mindset that the person we're talking to, if I'm the borrower, the lender's going to be the one pushing the button. The lender's going to be the one that's like excited to learn more. And ultimately, this is a huge takeaway. The biggest thing that we got to focus on when we're practicing and we're doing our elevator pitch, it's not getting the funding right away. It's about creating time and intrigue and having set an appointment to talk further about the deal, right? And about our next opportunity. So the only thing I'm selling in my elevator pitch is the next step, which would be a one-on-one meeting. Okay, that's it. I'm just trying to sell myself and the value of a 30-minute one-on-one phone call, Zoom call, or to meet in person at the local coffee shop or at my office or something like that, right? Just selling the next step. So one of the things we got to realize with private money is, inside Private Money Club, what's great is everyone understands what that is, right? Outside of Private Money Club, it's like an uphill battle. Isn't it? How many of you, let me ask you this question. How many of you know someone, just type it in the chat box. How many of you know someone who would make a great private money lender, but they don't know it yet? Type me in the chat box. How many of you know someone who would make a great private money lender? Maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a former coworker, right? Do you know someone that's like, I could probably go to them. They might be a good candidate for this, right? Jennifer said me, Debbie said yes. So the problem might be for Jennifer, Brenda, Tom, I don't know, maybe you're experiencing this, maybe they already know. But for most people, they don't know what private money lending is. So I'm going to every week we practice this as if we're talking to people who are learning about private money for the first time. And if you can get real good at the elevator pitch when it comes to talking with people who have never done this before, when you talk to people who are familiar with private money lending, like in Private Money Club, then it's just like, oh, it's like running on pavement. It's like going from the sand to the pavement, hitting the ground running. All right. So one of the best ways to communicate to someone who doesn't understand what a private money loan is putting them in the context that they're familiar with. So I'll tell people, hey, do you own your own home? And they'll say yes, right? Lots of times they'll say yes. And I say, okay, great. When you bought your house, did you go to the attorney's office or the title company, the closing, and you signed a big stack of papers, right? And they'll say, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And be like, all right, you signed a contract saying you're going to pay him back. Yep. You went and you called your insurance company and told them about the new loan that you were getting. And they're going to say, yep. And I'll tell them it's the same exact thing. So instead, I'll ask them, hey, who did you go to get your bank with? I went to Wells Fargo. Okay. Well, in this situation, you would be Wells Fargo and I'm the borrower, right? So instead of me going to a bank, I'm going to you. And just like how you signed documents when you bought your house, the house that you're living in, I'm going to sign documents for you that are very similar to the ones that you signed when you bought your house that you're living in now. And you can start to see the light bulbs go off, right? You can start to see the light bulbs go off because now it becomes relatable a little bit. And the 4 words that really are money, just like a bank, just like a bank. If we can help people realize that we think and act very much like a bank would act in regards to wanting a mortgage, a promissory note, things like this, you're going to see the light bulb start to go off because they can relate to it, right? So second floor. Now people are going to be curious, right? I'm not the one pushing the button going up, they are. So they might be asking, well, what kind of investment, what kind of rates do I get or interest, would a person make if they were a lender, right? So you got to have this figured out. And what I do is I like to give everybody a range, okay? And in my business, figure out what's right for you. In my business, I'll say, hey, we pay anywhere from 8 to 12%. Annualized interest, each loan opportunity is unique. So I'm giving them a spread, right? Each loan opportunity is unique. And lots of times when I say that, people start to think, oh, wow, 12%. Like the 8%'s whatever, right? Like everyone always kind of goes to like this optimism bias of like, wow, 12%. But here's the thing with the 12% though. And you got to kind of put yourself in the shoes of the person you're talking to. That sounds ridiculous, right? On the news, you hear the news saying, oh, interest rates are so high, 6%, 7%. It's crazy. Right. And so when you talk to people and you're like, yeah, we pay anywhere from 8 to 12%, in their minds, they're going to be like, is this too good to be true? This sounds ridiculous, right? That sounds crazy. And so just be prepared for that, right? And how we overcome that and make people feel really good about this is you can explain to them, hey, these are short-term loans, you can go down that rabbit hole if you want. But I like to get straight into the documents, right? So what separates this, like Kevin Shortell just said, these aren't handshake deals. This isn't a verbal agreement, right? So we do things just like a bank. So just like a bank would want, right? We provide our lenders with a promissory note that we sign that outlines the terms of the loan. We provide our lenders with a mortgage or deed of trust that secures the loan with real estate, just like Kevin was saying. We provide a personal guarantee that holds the borrower personally liable. So oftentimes we're borrowing in the names of our businesses or LLC, but I'm still personally on the hook, right? And we have insurance. So we'll provide the evidence of insurance. We'll have our lenders listed on the insurance as the loss payee, just like a bank would want. Now I call these the core 4. This is not the end all be all. This is not everything that should be on a person's checklist. But for communication purposes, for elevator pitch purposes, to have people realize, wow, this is kind of different. This is I've never heard this before, but this seems like it's the real deal here, right? And it is. By the way, anytime I've seen a real estate deal go sideways with a borrower and a lender, it's because they didn't have these things here. They didn't have the core 4. I have several friends who have lost money, private money lending, and the reason why they lost money or could have lost money was because they didn't have all of these things. Maybe they only had the promissory note, right? But they didn't have a mortgage. Maybe you got to have them all, right? What makes real estate great? What makes private money lending so great? It's the collateral. It's the documents. It's the liens. It's having them be recorded. If none of that happens, then you might as well just have a handshake deal. All right. So we set our lenders up for success. We set ourselves up for success. These are the documents that we use. And, the icing on the cake at this point, as we're going through our phases of the elevator, is that our team is solid. So one of the first things I teach in the accelerator program that starts November 4th is putting together your team, whether you're a borrower or lender, right? Putting together who is going to be the real estate attorney that helps draft your documents, who's going to be the real estate agent that helps you pull your comps, and sells your properties? Who's going to be the licensed contractor that's making sure the work's getting done, right, and stays on budget? Who's going to be your home inspector, your insurance agent, all of these things. So we got to build our team. But I love saying, hey, all of our documents are prepared and recorded by a licensed professional, just like a bank, right? Just like a bank. So if you go through those four core, the four core right there, the core four right there, you're going to be creating some intrigue. People are going to be thinking about the interest rate. They're going to be thinking about the documents. They're going to be thinking about, okay, it's not drawn up by Noah. It's drawn up by his team, his real estate attorneys that he's hired and things like this. This sounds pretty intriguing. At any point in time, if someone's like, okay, I want to learn more, excuse me, do you have a deal that's ready to go? Whatever comes out of a person's mouth next, and if they want more information, the only thing that we're doing is scheduling a one-on-one meeting. We're scheduling time. Hey, you know what? That sounds great. We're at a party right now. We're at the barbecue. We're at the Money Tank event, hanging out right now. Maybe now's not the time to like share with you all, the deal itself. But how about this? When we get back home, let's schedule a time to speak with one another 30 minutes. We can hop on the phone. I'd be glad to go over everything with you and how it works, right? Okay, great. So the only thing we're selling in the elevator is that one-on-one meeting. All right. So keep practicing this. Keep practicing, guys. Keep practicing, right? Because at the end of the day, where else can a real estate investor borrow all the money that they need to fund a real estate deal without having to go to a bank? Where else can a person put money to work at a great interest rate and have it secured by real estate that's worth much more than the amount that they've got involved in the deal, right? I don't know. Buying and selling notes, like Kevin, it's just another avenue of private money lending, which is awesome. All right, so here's your assignments, right? Tune in next week. We're heading up to Charlotte on Thursday, but not until we do our Quickstart webinar. We got to get next Thursday is probably the most important Quickstart webinar to date, because we got to stay sharp. We got to stay, master our craft. Because think of all the elevator pitches, and as you meet people, what's your business model? What are you looking to do, right? There's gonna be some major networking happening November 8th and 9th in Charlotte, right? So we got to be on it. Make a move. If you haven't created a free profile yet, do it right now. Do it before you get before you close your laptop. Go to PMC, go to the websites that Jose put up there for you. Click on them. Schedule a call with Jose and the team. Put it on your calendar to take your certification courses. All right. These are free with your Premier memberships. Accelerator course. It starts November 4th. If you haven't enrolled in that, click on the link. Jose can help you get enrolled with that. Money Tank event, privatemoneyclub.com/moneytank. You can buy a ticket in person. I think that there might be a VIP. There's still VIP seats available because I think some people had to reschedule. So you can still get VIP if you wanted. General admission, virtual tickets. Let's go. You want to learn about mobile homes? How to flip manufactured homes, how to rent them, how to cash flow them, how to create passive income, how to lend on them. One of the big reasons why Chris Naugle was so adamant to Christy to teach about mobile home investing to the Private Money Club community was because of the smaller price points. So if you're looking for some nice, juicy first position liens and smaller price points, manufactured mobile homes might be a good opportunity for you, not just as a real estate investor, but as a lender. And if you want to learn more about the bus tour that's coming up, Mike and Mike down in Atlanta, Georgia, have that going on December 7th and 8th. All right, let me check the Q&A one last time. Hey, Noah, were you able to look at that deal? Herbert, I was able to look at that deal. If you're still on here, I think it's a good deal. I think it's a great team, a great deal. But we can talk offline. But I'd like to see a mortgage involved in addition to the promissory note on that one, right? And we can talk offline about that. But solid, I think it's good, in my opinion, just an opinion. But I would like to see a mortgage on top of the promissory note written up for you. Yes, on the bus tour, folks. All right, cool. I love it. All right, everyone, it's 2:02. Time to sign off. Happy Halloween. Stay safe, and we will see you next week. All right, take care, everybody.